This will be an evaluation of a YouTube channel that has produced videos claiming to enhance videos. 1967sander, also known as ssmulder, ssmulder, which is an X-file reference, UAP Research and or UAPleaks, etc., and other names possibly, but these are the ones that are the main ones that I see people using as an offhand reference to the individual. This channel was set up and this person joined YouTube in 2011. At the time, the individual had a bio because YouTube used to be originally a dating site. So it had a dating site sort of profile, including occupations. Listed were, at the time, a digital law enforcement tech salesperson. It's a salesman who sells digital technology to law enforcement. Okay, keep that in mind. Next, was at one time an analog and digital measuring instrument salesman, elastometric polymer product salesman, heavy mining equipment sales engineer, and at one time a radar controller, and worked as a lab assistant in a clinical environment involving neuropsychology. But the majority of listings were salesperson in various tech environments. Okay, now let's move on. Claim on the channel. Then and now, all of this is kind of spread out. I perform forensic analysis of images and videos. My software is used in astronomy, microbiology, and forensics. Is the software the person created or software the person is using that happens to be used for astronomy, forensics, and microbiology? Any imaging software you find will be eventually implemented for forensics, microbiology, and astronomy. They all are, because you're dealing with images. Anything that can be used to manipulate, alter, change, add to, or suss something out of an image will be used, because nobody cares. He mostly analyzed videos produced by NASA and the European Union version of it called ESA. Pictures and video. Okay. Now, currently, the videos either don't list what software is used or make a vague assertion about it or generalize things so that it's impossible to fact check what's being done by saying, you too can do this at home, download this one floppy worth of data that's free and use it to analyze something, or use the setting on your cell phone because every cell phone now comes with the same utility, or use any photo editor, not just Photoshop. The one that's referenced and listed and was very, very prominently displayed at one time and is now no longer visible, apparently. LUCIS, Lucis, or Lucas, with an I instead of something else. Scientific image processing software. And includes statements like, this is for differential hysteresis image processing, auto multi-layer segmentation. All of these are mathematical procedures that utilize hysteresis properties of intensity variations in the image for segmentation of differential contrast patterns. Differential hysteresis analysis will ultimately facilitate a precise deduction of specimen properties from extracted contrast patterns. Restored differential hysteresis images are of superior quality and enhance the imaging capability of conventional electron microscope images. This was the bio data. This is what I used. The specific piece of software was called Lucis software or imaging or whatever. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read the history of this because it's not hard to find. Well, let's go for it. 1999. Lucis software was on one floppy disk. It's 1.4 megabytes in the compact state. You would then install it on Windows 95, and it manipulates images through the process of selective contrast pattern emphasis. And it cost $8,500 for a floppy disk of this. Now, if you're not aware of it, at the time, hundreds of programs could implement the same thing because this is an open source algorithm, not an AI, for taking an image that looks like what you're looking at now that's got 256 dynamic range. the brightness levels are, this here represents 0, and in the middle of my eye represents the value of 255. That's the minimal dynamic range. If it was a color image, there'd be 3 duplicates of this image, red, green, and blue. That makes it 24-bit. Now, what you do with a black and white image like this, if you want to show all of the stuff that's hidden, is that you convert this to a false color image by assigning the 8 bits of data, spread it out over, let's say, 16 bits or whatever, to get it to where every contrast level is represented by a different color. Instead of grayscale, you make it into a color banding so you can see things that are hidden in the darkness. Yeah, I just explained the entire algorithm. That's why it never would be worth $8,500. The software was worth the money maybe because it was for doing microscope slides and for sussing out the details on electron microscope images. In 2002, Lucis Pro 5 came out, digital image processing software from a company called Image Content Technology, which almost immediately was a blank website that said redirect, and the phone number went dead. 2018, years later, Gary Goeffler of a company called Microtechnics bought the rights to the Lucis Pro software. From there, it kind of gets hard to locate, but it's still being sold as a plug-in in image editors. Okay, now we're just going to do this real quick. This is a setting on your phone now. The algorithm is no longer under copyright or patent, and it was an algorithm, nothing complicated. Now we're going to go back to our Sander, who was born apparently in 1967. So he's a year older than me. Saying he does forensic analysis using Lucis scientific imaging at one time. Now you don't find the reference of what the guy is using. And again, this was for scanning electron microscope images or microscope images, which are not in macroscopic real-world space, where the difference between you and your main subject and you and the main subject and the background are hundreds of, or 20 to 100 to 1. This is looking at microscope images where you're looking at something that's not got a lot of depth of field to it, but it keeps creating a false depth of field to where you have to get rid of the stuff behind and in front of what you're trying to analyze. Yeah, completely different purposes. It's not magic. It doesn't give you information that is hard to find and enhance like in the movies. It's for a very narrow range of stuff. Don't know if that's what's currently being used, but the last video, the oldest video on this YouTube channel I'm reviewing is from 2021. That's 10 years of data gone. And when I looked up the links, because you can look up the dead links, it shows removed by uploader, not censored. They removed it. In most cases, or all of them I could find. I'm sure there are exceptions, but here we go. That video from 2021 is a color conversion and enhancement of a black and white infrared image, a UFO video, and it was done by a confidential process, and that's as old as current video. The confidential process is it's very likely the same thing, or is it? I work for the Federal Bureau of Investigations or the police department. We're using really sophisticated software. And then when you look up, because eventually it has to come out in court, they used Photoshop. In fact, they just used a plug-in. It's always the same thing. It's not any different. And I've heard a lawyer in person tell a cop in my presence when I told the police officer, you have to disclose the software you're using or someone's going to assume you're a liar, and they should. The lawyer immediately says, you will not do that. You will never tell them what software you're using. It's proprietary. You will come up with some, and this is the quote, some bullshit term like it's confidential or proprietary. To any computer person in the room, that's a giant red flag that you're lying. And to every debunker as well. Let's read about the debunkers. I am working on several new videos, many more manipulations, image manipulations, better described, lesser enhancements. So debunkers won't be able to say, it is all a question of software problems, and or we see noise generated by the software that he uses. Meaning, this person got debunked and trashed on the internet in the comment section for doing something that someone at the time was able to probably reproduced because he mistakenly told people what software he's using. If you tell me you're using a Photoshop filter, I can just duplicate your work. But if you keep it mysterious, you seem to have superior knowledge and can claim it's some special FBI software, when these days it's a setting from Instagram. Trust me, this nut they will not crack. Defiant behavior because you won't let people debunk you. I'm never wrong because I won't let anybody prove that I'm wrong. I want to uncover what is being kept hidden from the public. This is the chapter and verse playbook for anybody putting up a contrarian website or YouTube channel. All right? Now that we've done that, and we've gone on about this being a one floppy piece of software that honestly they would have made money on if they just released it as a shareware, freeware version, probably was, but I can't dig that up because a bunch of pages were taken down by legal contract and legal threat. Yeah, when lawyers get involved, it's totally technically correct. This is a single floppy piece of software you throw onto your computer. It was probably very similar to PaintShop Pro. In fact, I can reproduce some of these results in a freeware program called PaintShop Pro. I can get the freeware version. Let's go on. Current statement about the subject matter we're reviewing. I have always questioned information from the FBI, a video release. This is, again, I'm breaking it down to a trope. The police are lying to you. The authorities are always suspect. Of course they are, because the authorities are only worth trusting if they tell you how they did things and where they got it from. Oh, wait a minute. The FBI is supposed to tell us the software they use? Yeah. But when your contrarian won't tell you that he's using a one floppy piece of software that used to cost $8,500 per disk, per license in 1999, he won't tell you that? That's okay. But when the FBI doesn't admit they're just using fucking Photoshop, that's bad. I looked for a deliberate act of obfuscation, presuming you're being lied to so you can create a narrative on YouTube because that's more compelling. And then stating some contrarian position that victims of a particular crime weren't stabbed. They were poisoned. Maybe stabbed as well? Where is this coming from? Now we're actually talking about a video I'm reviewing because I'm reading back what is in the goddamn video's data. The Bridge Guy video from Delphi. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's highly manipulated. It's edited. They won't release the raw video because people like me who are trained in forensic analysis, otherwise known as just data recovery, just let me get the video, will just sit there and not do anything to the video and analyze it frame by frame and then stitch it back together again. There's a way to do this. Not using a 1.4 megabyte worth of floppy data from 1999 or even the newer and successor versions. You don't use video filters to extract interframe data or piece things together in 3D space. That doesn't work. But the Bridge Guy video. Single frames restored via forensic grade software, special applications AI. Or it's the same floppy worth of data that you may have spent $8,000 on if you threw away your money. I see something in the video. Here it is. An old railroad bridge, a guy on it wearing industrial rubber gloves, biochemical protection suit, sophisticated breathing system, a device for spraying chemicals. This person must have special engineering skills with a background in handling toxic chemicals, and this must be an independent exterminator because I'm claiming the device looks self-made. A professional exterminator is going to build something brand new just for this project instead of just using what's already available that looks the same, because you've never done an extermination job in your life, have you? All because this person ran a video or frames from a video through software that's written for taking apart images under a microscope. Until this person tells you exactly what software is being used and does a step-by-step to get the same results so that there's no ambiguity, suspect. Next thing. Person saying it's special, unavailable information, I can't talk about it, it's super secret stuff. That's a trope. Last. The video is using, that current one, is using AI to replace things in the background with guesses. It replaced part of the bridge that's made almost exclusively out of wood with granite in 2 frames. That's an AI routine guessing. It's daydreaming about the image. It's not actually solving anything. My review of the channel, again, the channel goes under several names, but it's Sander or Smulder, UAP Research and Leaks. I don't trust this person's data processing ability. That's a conclusion. You can come to whatever conclusion you want to. Links below in the description to back up what I said. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You'll need it.